Okay, next up is the needle menu. Now remember, when you go into system and you go into model type over here, you decided whether those menus were going to show up. If you said no to all this, all right, none of those menus show up. All right. So if you notice, I go in here in the model menu now. I lost my governor menu. I don't have the needle, and I don't have the mixture menu. So remember to turn those on if you're wondering why you don't have them. All right. So yes, yes, yes. All right. So the needle menu. Now I got to tell you, the needle menu. I got to tell you that I'm not sure what I'd use this for, to be honest with you. The idea behind it is you have a servo on your needle, all right, and you can tie it to a knob or the pitch stick. There's also a throttle mix, which I'll talk about too, and so I'll give you some idea what you might use this for. You might try to use this if you have a 2-needle carb. Maybe you could have one servo controlling the mid-range needle and another servo controlling the high-range needle, something like that. But the way this works is a little different, so you'll have to kind of follow here to figure out how you might use it. So let's activate it. Now the first thing right off the bat is when it's activated, it is automatically assigned to this slider. As you see, when I move this slider, it moves through the full range. You can't change this slider. It's always now activated with needle. You can't. You can disable this by changing these numbers to 0, 0 so it doesn't do anything, but this slider is now assigned. So for instance, if I was to go into say swash the throttle and activate that, and I wanted to set a switch and I wanted to go to the adjust function, you will see once I've enabled that needle, I cannot choose this left slider. You notice it's not listed here. All right, so just so you understand, when you enable needle, it always takes over the left slider on the radio, on the side. All right, so the idea behind it is, by default, it is assigned to channel 8. If we go in the monitor and watch channel 8, you see it move? It is assigned to channel 8. So you could have a servo on your needle to where it allows you to adjust your mixture of your needle with this slider. So now let's go back into the menu so you understand that. All right, so, and you can set the amount. All right, so low, I can increase it. And now it's a linear mix again, or it's a linear travel, so I can make it so it doesn't throw as far here, and here I could reduce the high number and make it so the servo doesn't throw as far. So let's say I only want, say, 4 clicks of the needle on full swing of this. So here would be in the center, and I'd get 2 clicks this way and say 2 clicks this way. So you would use these numbers to reduce that. Additionally, like several of the other mixes and whatnot, you can adjust acceleration, how fast the servo is going to move from the points, as well as you can offset the whole thing in the graph. All right, now the servo, to where it was set up mechanically, operates a little differently. All right. Once again, you can have for idle up, you can separate normal, idle up, and etc., and have different values here for your condition. So in normal, you could have it maybe be only 2 clicks each way. Idle 1, maybe you could make it do 4 clicks each way. Something like that. Now, you can also assign it to a switch, all right? And this gets a little odd. You can assign it to a switch, all right? So let's say I assign it to switch C. So now, once again, I can get a bunch of values for my idle ups if I had them all separated. We'll just combine them for now. As well as tied to switch C, which I just assigned, which would give me a bunch of different values. And of course, you see it changing when I flip switch C. All right, so that's another function here. So you can get a bunch of different values. Once again, you can get 3 in idle up and a total of 3 if you put it on a 3-position switch, and get a bunch of different needle controls. All right, the second thing is it's got an adjust function. Now this gets a little weird, but I could assign it to LT. Again, let's say as an example. Now, not only does the slider, and let's go to channel 8 and look at this stuff. Now, not only does the slider, as I said, by default control this, but I can also now trim it. Oh, and I didn't set a value here, sorry. Oh, and I've already also got the governor. I should have set another one. Sorry, bear with. Anyway, you get the idea. Let me set it to a different slider. Oops. I'll set it to CT. Sorry about that. So let's go back to the channel monitor. So again, I could have CT change the channel a little bit, which was channel 8. So again, why you'd want 2 sliders used on the needle adjustment, I don't know, but you could. All right, so let me activate, sorry, go into the switch, and I'm just going to turn off the adjust function so it doesn't mess me up later. And I'm going to turn off a switch so it doesn't mess me up later. All right. Anyway, so that's what needle's about. Now, there's one other aspect about needle. And again, I showed you the slider's always tied, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can say, hey, I want it to change on pitch. Now, see when I move my pitch stick? Okay? I can set up the mix so when I move my throttle stick, I can make it move a servo to control the needle. Now, I'm not sure what you'd use that for. I don't know of any application where as I give more throttle, I need more needle. I mean, it's kind of neat, but I've never needed a function like that. But it's there if you want to. However, realize the slider still controls it as well. I've enabled the pitch by setting a value. All right, it was 0, 0 by default, but remember, the knob is always going to work too. So you could have the knob do something as well as, if you set some numbers, the pitch stick or throttle stick do something. But as you saw by default, that was 0, 0, so it does nothing. But man, talk about a bunch of mixes there and moving the needle all around. Again, I'm not sure what you'd use all that for, but there you go. So the knob, which is on by default, you can also have pitch. You can also have several different values based on your condition, as well as sliding a switch yet and yet another trimmer. All right, so that's needle control. That's what you can use it for, and that's what it's used for. Fuel mix. Fuel mix, actually, let me inhibit this so it doesn't mix me up. Fuel mix, on the other hand, is very similar, except it's a different kind. It's a different kind of curve. Now, on this one by default, let's see, combine, it's on, because I didn't assign a switch, just want to make sure here. So on this one, if we go into the channel monitor, you will now see it controls channel 9 by default. And you see right now it's tied to my throttle stick. All right, see that? No trimmer or anything is automatically assigned to this. All right, now let me go into governor here a second. I want to turn this off. Sorry, bear with, this is messing me up because I want to use some of these other trimmers, so bear with me. I guess even though I activated it, I got to go in and turn the thing off. Bear with, there we go. Pardon me. Alright, so on fuel mix, now this one is tied to the pitch stick, as you see. And that's just the way it is, or the throttle stick. So you could have your needle move on this one with the throttle stick. All right? And there's your values. As you see, high and low. So I have channel 9 servo moving with the throttle stick. And, of course, I can make it not do anything or make the value less, so it's moving that servo. So, again, this might be a servo hooked to your needle valve in which you can control it based on the throttle position. If you didn't want to control it through the throttle position, there's a trick by making this 0. All right, now, oops. I'm sorry, making it 50. Bear with me here. Anyway, making it flat so it doesn't do a mix. Pardon me. And we'll make this flat so it doesn't do a mix. And as you'll see, the curve's going flat. All right, so you could disable it there, and then if you wanted to, let's say you wanted channel 9 and you wanted this graph to be your adjustment, you could go in here and you could go to the adjust function and hit set and choose a slider, and I'll choose LT, and we'll come out of here. And so now we got the mixture, and right now the channel center, I haven't assigned a switch, but like all the other mixes I've been showing you, again, you can tie to your idle up switch for different settings, all right, as well as assign a switch for even more settings. So again, you're seeing this is very common on all the mixes or channel control, having multiple settings. All right, so now we're going to go in here and we're going to say, hey, I'm going to do the adjust function. I'm going to go set, and I'm going to set LT, and let's just open up the range. All right, so I can have quite a bit of an adjustment. So you could have a servo hooked now to where the pitch stick doesn't interact. All right. We'll go to the servo monitor. You look at channel 9. The pitch stick's not interacting. Channel 9's not moving. But remember, I assigned it a trimmer to LT. Watch. Remove that trimmer all the way over. And if we come out of here, back to here, you'll see it moved that channel. So if I had a servo hooked to my mixture control, I could adjust my mixture with a slider. All right. But once again, if I wanted to, I could. I probably wouldn't use this myself. I could enable it to do the pitch, which by default it was. As you see, by default, it works with the pitch. The needles, that servo is going to move with the pitch, but you could turn that off and just use a slider. All right, so again, these two are really about having a mix or a servo moving channel, channel 8 in this case, channel 9 in this case, to where you could have trimmers or stick movements or a slider adjust your needle. Now, I will give you a recommendation. If you want to put a little servo on your needle, I usually put it on the high needle, not the mid-range needle, and I would use this mix here instead of the needle, because as I said, the needle automatically assigns this slider. Well, what I don't want to do is one day go fly and accidentally bump the slider and have it be lean and then realize it and have to go, oops, my slider got moved. Because again, this channel or this needle control always uses that slider. What I would probably do is if I wanted a servo hooked to my needle and adjustable, I would use the fuel mix. I would 50-50 this so that the throttle stick doesn't do anything, and I would assign it, as I showed, to a slider to where I could just move a slider or one of these trimmers to adjust my needle. So let's say I'm noticing I'm a little bit lean. I could richen it up a little bit by moving the slider, thus moving the servo or channel 9 by default and adjusting my mixture. That's probably how I would set this up with a trimmer using the fuel mix. Okay? All right, so that kind of covers the needle and the fuel mix, and with that, we'll be back.